che comunque il calcio è imprevedibile e le cose non sono mai scontate, quindi è anche la bellezza, no, di questo sport.
Io rappresentavo per questa squadra, era quello che non mollava mai, quello che doveva fare stare sempre su il morale, ma io mi ci trovavo bene perché sono sempre stato uno che mi piaceva dare fuoco ai miei compagni, caricarli prima delle partite.
Il mio sogno si è avverato, è uno dei sogni dei bambini, di tanti bambini.
È un qualcosa per la gente che riusciamo a fare diventare matti, riusciamo a fare diventare felici e contenti.
Con questa maglia devo veramente fare una performance diversa perché sto rappresentando.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and everyone. And for those who are just about to go to sleep, good night. But don't sleep yet because we got an amazing show from two of the best hosts for all Milan news, and from two continents, from Asia and Europe. So with me, the best host ever that any channel could ever have, Lab Gorilla. How are you doing, Ron?
Oh, you're too kind, man. Stop saying that every time. You say the smelliest host with lots of bananas. I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm absolutely good. Obviously, as a Milan fan, I'm not a happy bunny. I'm not a happy gorilla. There's not a lot to say. But what we're going to do today, everyone, we're going to look at a bit of a review of the Italian media. We're going to have a discussion about how we see the club at the moment. I think Nico announced last week, hasn't he, didn't he, that he did one last pod and said he's taking a break, which I think is absolutely fair. I think it's fair for a lot of the fan base to be doing that, to be reassessing their position at the moment regarding the club. But I think it's, for us as fans, I'm glad I'm here today talking to someone about it because it's borderline traumatic what's going on with the club. Would you say that we are in a banter era or not, Hasni?
Well, we're on the cusp of the banter era. I think the season's not over yet. And anyone can say over till over, but looking at the trajectory, and the trajectory is something I've been talking about for the past few seasons. You don't need to be in the dumps, but you need to know when you're about to slip into it. And right now we're in the dumps. And all the best to Nico, and we look forward to having him back. He's taking, I think, just a temporary break, but I just hope the management and Jerry Cardinale takes a permanent break from this club. That's the best that any fan can hope for.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I mean, I don't know any podcast that is now not fully aware of what's going on or trying to indicate that this is not a problem, what's going on. I think what we're going to do, and I think it was worthwhile doing, is looking at some of the channels that I personally subscribe to. I think they have a lot more subscribers than any English-speaking channels, and they really capture an essence of how the fan base feels in Italy. And I think we should talk about it because I think one of our subscribers, Kim Barini, he wants to his message to be known and to be heard as well. And there's a thing you wanted to say, Hasni, about what you want to do at the end of this podcast, right?
Yeah, but before that, I just want to say, and I think I don't say this enough, is that I want to thank all the viewers for always following us, watching our videos. I don't say that enough, but I appreciate you guys and girls. I know that we have a very, very few female listeners, but much appreciated, and all those from around the world. So last week, we've had one of our regular viewers join us in our group WhatsApp channel. Just to let everyone know, if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or even on YouTube, just drop us a DM. You can drop us a DM on Instagram or any one of our socials. I'm checking it except for X, I think X, but we'll get to that soon. If you want to join our WhatsApp group, you're most welcome to. We'll be happy to have you. And towards the end of this channel, I think, after we're done with the main content, you're very much welcome to join us on the stream. So we'll be posting the link in the chat, and please do join us and let it all out.
Really, really important. That's a great thing to be doing. I think we're here because we want to hear what other fans think as well, isn't it, Hasni? We're not just here to bounce ideas off each other all the time. I know, however much I enjoy talking to Hasni, however much I enjoy talking to Shane and Nico, what I really like is the WhatsApp group that we have. So if you wanna join it, like Kashavit joined us last week. So reach out to Hasni or Shane on our other social media channels, and we'll be adding you to our group. And we have some really interesting conversations. Sometimes not even about Milan, right? We
Yeah,
talk
yeah. I mean,
about
there's a good group of people on it, and we can talk anything in terms of other sports. So nothing is really off the table. And
yeah,
I think one other thing that I want to point out is that we have pretty much representative people around the globe. We've got people from Australia, all the way from here, from the Far East, from the Middle East, yeah, from yourselves in Europe, North America. I think probably missing from South America, or am I? Okay, I guess we don't have everyone from South America, but soon we'll be adding that content soon in terms of our chat participation.
what we need is a few South American players. That's what we need, and then that'll start. That actually want to be followed, not just Chicken Royale. Yeah, right.
All
We
right,
ready to
so
go?
yeah, we are. So
Right.
we're up.
Excellent. Excellent. So we named this channel, we named this episode, I know Kung Fu, but on Milan haven't got a clue. So that is, once again, my poetry. But also, this is a bit of an ode to this GQ magazine interview that Ibrahimovic did, which was full of really embarrassing pictures that looked like they were AI generated, like this one. But apparently they were not. They were actually genuinely Ibrahimovic with the glasses on and a big waistcoat on, a tie on, holding a telephone. Really embarrassing. Hasni, what did you think of those GQ pictures, man, when you saw them?
Not only about this GQ shoot. I see this as Ibra trying to make himself relevant again. So we all know, and maybe some of us still do love him as a player. But after he's retired, and don't just think about him, but other players as well that haven't really moved on into other roles and positions. They go do something to keep themselves relevant and sustain whatever livelihood or business they got going. Credit to Ibra for doing this, but I think all this comes at the expense of what's happening at the club. So that's really something that's concerning to me.
Yeah, it's the fact that he's trying to make himself relevant. To me, never was. Okay, guys. Let's start with the beginning, which unfortunately we have to talk about this. Hey, Ray. Good morning, sir. Right, we have to talk about this, Husney. I know you didn't want to. I didn't want to. The Bologna game. So for me, that was Thursday night game. I listened to part of it while I'm on the motorbike on the way home. It's always interesting listening to Milan whilst on the motorbike. It makes my concentration go a little bit wandering because I get quite angry. So maybe I should really stop doing it. But I listen to live commentary, and I guess these days I don't get quite as emotional because I kind of know what's coming. So we lost the game 2-1. Okay, so
John,
first, yeah, go.
when you put the logo like that, it does look like the
Barcelona,
Remember?
right?
Yeah, it looks like our logo, but flipped.
Oh, there. Yeah. You mean the Bologna one?
Yeah, the Bologna. Yeah.
Yeah, I found this picture online. I thought it was super nice, so I just grabbed it. But maybe, yeah. Again, I'm not. It does actually look very similar. Jesus Christ, there's something going on here, isn't there? I've never looked at the Bologna logo that closely. That is definitely very similar.
Yeah.
Um,
We just wish the score was the other way around as well.
yeah, yeah. But they were founded 10 years after us, and they got like an English flag next to them. Dude, I'm telling you, we might need to have a look at this a little bit closer. I don't know enough about the history of other clubs in Italy. Yeah, maybe their founder's English too. Well, that would make sense, wouldn't it? Anyway, okay. So we lost the game 2-1. First half. What is there to say about the first half? Well, there was a I think many other channels have covered it. Even Coast to Coast talked about it, and they did, scores for individual players as they usually do. Shout out to our friends Fabio and Gio. We love how you're still trying to get energy from it, but even there, hasn't he? Got to say, Fabio announced, he's going to be taking a little bit of a break as well. He's not going to be as frequent on that, because why? Because why? If you've got a family holiday going, it's really not worth popping in to be looking at this kind of garbage. But what's to say about the first half? There was a goal in the first half on the 43rd minute from Rafael Leao. Now, am I right in saying that the assist came from Santi? Do you remember that,
Yeah,
husband?
yeah. I think it's a long ball to Santi. He jumped. So it's challenge, a 50-50 challenge. And
Yeah,
yeah, he managed to get all the way. And Liao used his speed essentially to break not only past the defender, but also past the keeper.
yeah. Does that go down and actually an assist, yeah, on his record? That's another assist under his name.
It does. It does. I
That's
think
pretty
he
impressive,
registers
man.
it. Yeah.
Jesus, wow. Okay. So at halftime, it was 1-0. Again, complete disclosure, guys. Pre-game, I put money on Milan. Again, what did I say the other week? I said, don't listen to my betting tips. I'm absolutely disastrous. And sure enough, I was disastrous.
Did you jinx this, John? This is what I want to know.
Mate, I
Have
don't
you been
know,
doing this
man.
at every halftime when we think we can get away with it?
I, I don't know. I've got to change something, hasn't he? I think whatever my mind tells me, I should do the opposite. I think that's what I should do. But anyway, so we went in half time, 1-0, and then just 3 minutes after half time, Bologna level, and it was Castro. According to One Football, Castro fired the ball home from close range after a free kick that was delivered from the right side by Ferguson. Ferguson's a very good player. It caused chaos after the Silvestri headed down in the box, only to see the ball ricochet off teammate Fabian. Castro finished it. Now, this one was a little bit contentious one. If I remember, a lot of the fans were saying handball. What did you think?
Um, I also want to say that it's handball, but I can understand that we shouldn't be leaving it to those decisions to decide whether we get 3 points or 1 point. Uh, Even if it was given, we should have comfortably, or we should have managed to get a win out of that game. So yeah, I do think it was handball. It seemed like a bit of like a basketball assist. But what am I to say? At the end of the day, we all depend on what the referee decides.
I agree with you. I know there was a lot of talk about handball. Even on the live commentary I was listening to, the live commentary was biased because it was from a Milan supporter, Rinaldo Morelli, who I listened to, and he basically, yeah, you can see from the video, it's really kind of close to his arm, but yeah, whatever. VAR looked at it and they decided, no, that's fair enough. So whatever. Then
But on that
strangest subs.
point,
Yeah,
John, because we've known this for several, or not say even several, but almost every single season, you just can't depend on the ref. You got to take the game into your hands and really get that margin. So when they have all these bullshit calls, we can still get 3 points. So I'm not going to go out of my way and blame the refs on this one.
yeah. No, I'm not doing that either. Listen, man, we're just looking for excuses. If you're seriously talking about the ref being the one responsible for our loss here, I don't agree. Okay, so we're going to talk about the lineup in a minute, Hasni, because there's a point I want to make, and I think people in our chat will know very well what my point is. But we had Christian Pulisic come in for Joao Felix. Again, that's another discussion point, Hasni, that we need to have. And then Santi Jimenez comes off in the 76th minute, and Jovic, of all people, comes on. And then on the 82nd minute, Dan Ndoye for Bologna scores the goal to make it 2-1. Shows predatory instinct that any striker will be proud of as the cross comes in from the left. He got right across his marker, Pavlovic, who, by the way, Pavlovic did a terrible job on that goal. he got right. The striker got right across him, got his boot at the end of the cross, and prod home the goal from 6 yards in. And then what's his name? Conceição brings in Tammy Abraham for Alex Jimenez. It was just, I don't know, hasn't it? I don't know. I gotta say, Bologna, we knew. You remember when the game was rescheduled because of those heavy rains? Apparently, earlier on in the year, we had an episode and we spoke about it, and we said, why are there car shows going early in the season? Bologna were incredibly weak. They had not yet fixed themselves. I remember saying this quite clearly. This game is going to be rescheduled, which means that the Bologna team will have had not only time, but they will also have had a transfer window to try and fix some of their issues. And they will be a much tougher opponent than they would have been early on in the season. Sure enough, without any doubt whatsoever, Bologna were well prepared for us, and they are now ahead of us.
There was a little bit of controversy, if I remember, earlier the season, because there was that offer for the game to be played at a neutral venue, right? Because they were saying that they can't play at home. So they didn't take that, and I don't know how the league or FIGC decided for us that we will reschedule the game. And yeah, you're right. They used this opportunity, and they got us when we were down. Essentially, that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is always, I know a lot of people were saying, look, we've got a game in hand, and actually the big kind of mistake that people make often is they just assume that is 3 points in the bag. And I kind of said, as the season was going on, Bologna fixing themselves. Bologna are becoming more and more of a team that can match us. And lo and behold, it happened. Rinaldo Morelli did a really interesting pregame, and he said that they're one of the best teams in Italy at ball possession. And I thought, well, that's really bad for us because we are probably one of the worst. We really suck. We don't seem to have any communication between the players at all. And yeah, as I said, I think
But
deserved
John,
wins.
How did they reinforce? And if we just look at something that very recently happened, they had our ex-player heading to them, a guy that was essentially fired, if I can put it that way. Yeah. So Calabria plays for Bologna.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about the Calabria thing. Calabria was subbed in, maybe just to have a bit of a laugh and say I had a part in that defeat. I don't know. I think I tell you what, it would have been even funny if they got a penalty. They would have asked him to take it just to rub it in. It's the kind of thing that Inter would do, isn't it? With Cialanoglu, like, oh, you take the penalty. I don't know. Should we stop for a minute and read the comments here?
Sure.
So we've got a comment from Cacciavit, buonasera. Hello. And then Ray says, I don't understand Gabbia over Ciao. Okay, Cacciavit, great point. You'll see in a minute. I've got something prepared for that. Then the other one he says is, did you guys see the report that said there was tension between Furlani, Ibrahimovic and the chief comms officer of Milan? Now, if I was the chief comms officer at Milan, I would say, Ibrahimovic, stop talking. And I would say to Furlani, stop giving interviews. Do not release anything until you've passed it through me. Because it's embarrassing. To me, our management team are a law unto themselves in terms of how they speak to the press and the things that they come out with. It's really embarrassing. And it feels sometimes like there is no comms officer with any power whatsoever. This is probably a similar situation, Hasni, in my opinion, to sporting director, where the position is just there in name. We all know sporting director is a league prerequisite for a club to be able to play in Serie A. And so they put Dottavio in. I think, again, comms officer is something that, any serious club needs to have. But do you really think he has a lot of say in things, Hasni?
No, he's just a messenger boy. And the way that I'm looking at how these press conferences or who's saying what, it just looks to me that Ibra decides everything. He says what he wants. And if you don't like it, you're probably going to be on the chopping block. And that's it.
Exactly. And, and Ray says, in the next report is that the comms officer got fired. Exactly. If you don't like it, you're gone. You're a chopping block. Kachevic says 3 points in the bag. And Kim is home. Fantastic, Kim. I'm going to read out your message anyway, but we're going to open up the lines at the end. So you're welcome to join us later on. Okay, Kim? Once we've gone through the slides. So let's go to the next slide then, Hosni, yeah? Right. So I would like everyone to keep an eye on this. So my point here is quite simple. Watch the starting 11. So for those who are on Spotify, Apple Podcast, I'm just going to read it to you. Starting 11 against Bologna was Magnan in goal, left back Theo Hernandez, centre back so Pavlovic and Chow, right back of Alex Jimenez. You know, unfortunately, Carl Walker is still injured. He's going to be out for a few games apparently. Midfield. Now this is a strange one. Holding midfield of Fofana and Reindeer, and cam position Felix. On the right side, Musa again, Leao on the left, and Jimenez up top. Then the subs. Look at the subs, guys. Christian Pulisic comes on for Felix. Perhaps I would argue that Pulisic should have started instead of Felix. Then you've got Jovic coming on for Santi. And on the 84th minute, Tammy Abraham for Alex Jimenez, obviously because we conceded a goal by then and desperation had happened. Now, I'm going to get to the point that I think Ray made earlier. He doesn't understand Chow over Gabbia. Let me get to this point. Do you see this is the subs bench, guys? And I would like to make a very clear point here, and I would like everyone to try and listen. Davide Bartesaghi, a.k.a. Filler. Matteo Gabbia, a.k.a. Filler. Lorenzo Torriani, a.k.a. Filler. Francesco Camarda, a.k.a. Filler. Riccardo Sotil, a.k.a. Filler. Marco Sportiello, a.k.a. Filler. Filippo Terracciano, a.k.a. Filler. The starting 11 for the Bologna game was all non-home grown. The subs were all non-home grown. All the Italians were on the bench. All the homegrown were on the bench and never utilized. Why are they there? Because this is AC Milan 2025. It's simply filler that's being used to try and adhere to league rules. This is my personal opinion. Hasni, I'd love to hear what your take is on this from, someone who's been watching the team for decades and seeing how it's been progressing. But I want to say this. The primary objective for everyone at this club, at the current management, is when you remove a player, such as Theo is going to be removed in the summer, the objective is to then bring in another foreign player and to keep using Italians as nothing more than rule adherence individuals. They are not being utilized as an asset. So, Ray, to your point, I'm sorry to say, we had a foreign manager, foreign team, foreign subs. This is why.
Oh, don't stop there, John.
Yeah.
Foreign ownership.
Oh, yeah. No, but that's it. Hasn't he? Foreign ownership, foreign management, foreign whatever you want to say. They don't see Italians as anything other than, well, this club is based in Serie A and you need these rules. Therefore, we need to have these players. So let's just drag a bunch of players out of this and force them to just sit on the bench whilst we put out the players that we've selected because we think that they are superior. They're not superior, guys. They're not superior. I'm going to argue all day long that Gabbia deserves to get a start. I'm getting some strange messages about cameras being... Nope. Okay. So I'm going to make an argument every single day that the Italian part of this club is being suppressed. There is no Italian identity within the club anymore, and the Italian players that are being brought in from the Futuro have got no reason to play. They're literally, there's no intention to play any of them. They are just there because they have to be for rules. Okay. Now, on Felix. Hasni, what would you like to say about Felix?
Yeah, well, Felix came in with quite a bit of hype, and I can understand why, because anyone who comes into the club, automatically fans will check out their highlight reel, and everyone will admit that Felix does have quite an impressive highlight reel. But where is this highlight reel for Milan? It's not very long, because games like this show that we can't depend on individual ability. And I also want to go back to your point, John, about uh, Italian players. So the league not only has it not really clamped down on this, but they've actually made it easier, because I believe the restriction, and we spoke about this over several pods now, has to be homegrown talent. So they don't have to be Italian, I think. Some of our players have Italian
Correct.
passports, and I think this is the maybe why Cardinale thinks, oh, okay, they probably count, but he doesn't read the rules at all. And this is the issue that we have. Not only do we bring in these players, some of them that you mentioned, like Gabbia, I think they can do quite well. Bologna isn't a team that is fighting for the Scudetto. They aren't high flyers by any means. But when we play them, and we play any team around that level, we make them look like the best, like they deserve top four. They don't. They're a mid-table team trying to get as far as they can. We are, or what we should be, a Scudetto fighting or Scudetto challenging team, but we all the way down in 8th place. So how this then links to the composition of our players is that the driving force behind which players that we're getting, the way that I'm seeing it, where they're from, how much money can I make off jerseys, are they cheap? Can we get a deal easily done? And most of it, a big part of it, has to do with our own management. But I'm going to blame a little bit about this to other teams, because whenever there's a decent player and we're coming in for that player, the price is absolutely insane. So if anyone can remember how much that we paid for Tonali, which I think was negotiated down, is still over 30 million, by the way. So if you want to get any player of quality, and I think in the summer, if they're serious about making a move for Richie, probably be 40, 50 million. So there's that about the homegrown and the Italian players, but also the fact that within the league, we are essentially not helping ourselves. We are at the extreme end, but I'm starting to see that other teams as well, highly or overly dependent on foreign players. And for those who are rotting away on the bench, I feel bad for them. These guys, they want to play. Kamada is not a bad player. I don't know why he can't start against the bottom 5 teams because they end up clowning us. Gabbia, other than that slip, I don't recall him being a terrible defender. Sotil, I see him really trying. Sportiello, I think he can give Mike a break again against the bottom place teams. We can do so much more in terms of rotation, but this management doesn't see it. I'm not going to 100% blame Conceição as well, because he's fighting for his job. He's doing what he thinks are feels who he thinks are the best players. Not able to pull it off. So yeah, in a mess.
There's a lot of points there, Hasni. So let's take Conceição to begin with. After the game, he said, I will work night and day for 4th place. As a Milan fan, hearing that is humiliating. I was very angry that we are reduced to this. Now, on the Italian side and the rotation side, I think you're absolutely right. They see Milan coming, they increase their price, so we don't end up getting those players. Okay, what do we do? If we're serious about it, if you think someone's a real talent, the problem is, I guess, is that if your talent scout thinks that it's a real talent, you're going to invest that money. The problem is, I don't think that these guys have got glasses that can. If you've got a homegrown next to your name, you're not seen as having talent. You're seen as being a mediocre player. I think this is partly down to the fact that, these management team are not Italian, so they just don't have the appreciation the biggest thing for me, I guess, is that I genuinely feel that today there is no identity in this club that belongs to me anymore. It's terrible. I watch Milan, I listen to Milan simply because of the name now. There's nothing else out there. In fact, this has been going through our chat, but next month there's going to be a Milan Glory game over in London, playing against Spurs. In brackets, legends, and a bunch of us in the UK are gonna get together and watch it. Shout out Max and Gino. We're gonna be there, and Art as well. We're all gonna be there watching that game. And I generally think, there's more. It's crazy to say this. There's more Milanismo in what is going to be on that pitch on that day than there is in the entire starting 11 and the subs that came on. There's a few things I want to say. I say, look, there are players that are decent in our squad. I think you've mentioned this, Husney. Pulisic. I really like the guy. I really do. First of all, I like that he's an intelligent player. I like that he works hard. I like that he applies himself. That's great. But and apparently he's going to renew, which is great news. But you know what I also appreciate about him is the fact that he's taken the time to integrate himself into the culture. And if you've heard him speak Italian, he's really, really impressive. That I really like. And to me, that is someone who should be part of a starting 11. What I don't like is players who come in, they are not our players. So Joao Felix is not an AC Milan player. He's on loan from Chelsea, guys. So for him to take the position of a player who's going to extend his contract is unacceptable. It really makes no sense. Felix should be a sub, especially on his performances. Just base it only on his actual playing performances. He doesn't deserve to start games. It should be an impact player that comes in. Maybe when opponents are tired, he comes in and does one of his tricks and maybe unlocks something. What we've seen is him start game and game again, often without the other talented players around him, and he cannot unlock anything. It's only when the other players come in that suddenly he starts to look a little bit better. So Felix is not the answer, guys. I don't rate him as a $100 million player, as I've heard him being described as in other podcasts. I don't rate him as a $50 million player. I think Chelsea are really going to struggle to make any money back from this guy. So all this talk about Milan is going to try and keep him. Garbage. It's just not at all acceptable. So then we come to what's going on at the club. Conceição and his manager. His manager, who's another Portuguese super agent, Mendes, who is suddenly looking like he's trying to bring in his talents into our squad. AC Milan is not a place for people to profiteer for themselves in this manner. We should literally have someone in place to say, we are bigger than you. Get away. You can't get away with your stupid tricks. And I'm going to say his name. If Maldini had been there as technical director, he would not have allowed this kind of bullshit to happen. Because that's what it is, Husney. You can't flood our squad with your shite just because you want to make some agent fees. I'm just going to milk you guys. Everyone feels like it's milking us. I had an AI-generated image of the Duomo with a big cow in front of it. Might as well slap an AC Milan badge on its head and say that's what everyone seems to be doing to us at the moment. So there's a lot of people to blame on this. We're being exploited as a club by the owners. As a fan base, it feels to me, and I'll say yesterday I was watching another podcast and there was a comment saying, stop just trying to use us to sell jerseys. We're a sporting club, first and foremost. We're not just an entity for you to just release another fourth kit. It's embarrassing. But It is what it is. Let's go to the next slide.
John, I want to add something because you did
Yeah.
mention about the perception of homegrown talent or Italian players. So if you look at the coefficient in terms of the league, we're not too bad, yeah. So we are, or we should be fighting, or at least have that fifth Champions League spot. So we're not bad league profile wise. But we talk about national teams, that's something that is a sore point because the team hasn't been made it to the World Cup in the past two or past two maybe, yeah.
I can't, honestly, Husney, something that my brain does. It's
Yeah.
a self-defense mechanism. It forgets.
Okay.
So I can't even remember. I don't want to think about some of those World Cup misses that Italy has had. So I can't even tell you. I think it's two. But
Yeah.
please, someone in the chat, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, maybe it's two. So is that the reason why any foreign manager that comes in and says that okay, how as good as a Italian player might be, he's not going to make it to the biggest stage in the world. So this is why I don't want to waste my time on playing him. I don't know if it's that bad, but uh, in the history of the club and the Italians that we've had pass through out the system recently, we didn't do that bad, by the way. So we have Tonali that's from the club, Locatelli still playing regularly. So we have several players, not in our club, in other clubs that are doing quite okay. It's just that they don't seem to work out for us. But okay, I digress because you could also throw CDK into that mix. Yeah.
But Husney, I mean, it's we've mentioned this point again before, but the point that Italy starts and in the starting lineup, there's not a single Milan player. It's such a weird thing to see, but when you look at how the club is playing and what it's fielding, it's choosing to field. Why should Italy select us? Why should Spalletti choose a single Milan player? There's no reason, right? No reason at all.
Now he'll choose them after they've left our club.
He'll choose them after. Yeah, exactly. Because they'll go to places where clubs are playing proper football. And again, I just want to stress something. I think it is a right decision to just forget talking about football at the moment. The club is not a football entity. There's nothing being done on that pitch that makes you think someone is taking it seriously. I see no imprint from Conceição, Husney. I see nothing. Now, whether that is because the players just cannot cope with him, that's one of the arguments, is the players are simply saying it's too harsh for us, so we've stopped playing. But there's nothing. I see absolutely zero on that pitch. And that's why I think the discussion here is, all right, let's just go through the Italian media, see how they're reacting. Because I think often what's been happening is this information filters through, and then people a few weeks later say, oh, okay, maybe we are in a banter era. I think we've been in a managerial banter era for over a year. And probably we've been in it since the beginning of the Cardinale ownership. Hey, by the way, hi Shane. Hangover is an 11. So, Husney, scream a little bit down the microphone, yeah, just to make it better.
Not too loud.
Shane!
But yeah, good morning, Shane.
Hello, Shane!
Good morning.
Beep, 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 beep. That's just for you, mate. You and your sandwich pasta. Have a pasta sandwich for breakfast, Shane. That will take care of your hangover. Very nice. Right, so let's go through some Italian channels, okay, Husney? So one of the channels I sub to, very big channel, is called Radio Rossonera. Now, they, Husney, are very pro club because they have access to the actual club itself. They used to have Carlo Pellegatti as part of them, then he left. But they used to be very pro ownership and always look for potential positives. And they have lots of subs who actually pay for their memberships. So for them to go down this route and saying tragicommedia, so it's tragedy and comedy, by Ibrahimovic, Moncada and Forlani, how have we been reduced to this? Yeah, for them to come up with a headline like this, and you see in the picture on the side, which is GQ magazine's article, it's quite strong for them. For them, this is a very strong stance. Then another one of their stories, how we miss uh, not continuing with Paolo. I think, again, it's becoming very serious, the realization of how important this man was to the club and how it was run and the deals we were able to do. But also now you can see how that presence on the training ground every single day, and that personal relationship he had with the players, how much he was getting more out of them. It's incredible now how you see when the handbrake is off, when there is no Maldini in the system, how this is collapsed, and how players who were at one point, you had sell clauses of 150 million. Of course, I'm referring to Leao. Probably now, you're probably not worth even 50 million, to be honest with you. Then the next one, disastro totale, so total disaster con colpevoli chiari, which means the people who are at fault are very clear, and they've got this picture, very famous picture, and underneath it says disastro Milan. Milan disaster, who's at fault, why have we been reduced to this? There's no punches being pulled anymore, even by the most pro Milan media. Let's go another one. This is which is one of their phone-ins, right? Chiama Milan, which means call in Milan. And then it says direct intervention by the fans. Another loss, and basically they're saying scusanti finite, which means like it's the end of the excuses, right? You've run out of excuses for the club. Now, for me, that ran out again months ago. As I said, so pro Milan that they waited this long, because now the gap to Juve on the same number of games is 8 points, and it's not just Juve. This is what a lot of people are forgetting. There's a bunch of teams between us and Juve as well. So the next one is incubo infinito, which means infinite nightmare. Yeah. So, you've announced a complete failure of a project. Save AC Milan. Do you remember this picture?
Yeah, it's a
Remember this
Berlusconi
picture?
era photo,
Yeah.
towards the end.
Yeah. It's being brought back, right? Because it's absolutely valuable. It's absolutely the right thing to talk about now. It's game over. Save AC Milan. Let's give a shout out to Rossoneri TV as well. Look, this was one of their chats. If you look at the timestamp, 3 hours, 8 minutes, 51 seconds. Incredible once again. But look, all the excuses, Pioli's fault, Cardinale will save us, clowns and all this kind of stuff. They're absolutely right. And that picture that even I used when I was doing a season review, saying something's very sinister going on at the club. Just going to take a quick break and say, Ray, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I hope it gets so bad that everyone gets fired. Ray, you're not the only one, my friend. I don't think he'll mind me saying this, but Nathan, who's one of our members, is also an active member of Rossoneri TV. He has been, openly saying, this is great. This is actually great, because it's showing exactly what it should. This ownership, this management, everything is a disaster. He wants the place to just burn down, and everyone gets absolutely fired. Ray asks a very good question, and Husney, I think your opinion will be different to mine, so let's talk about it. Do we want to win the Coppa Italia? The Three Stooges will say, oh, we won 2 trophies, we should stay. Your opinion, Husney?
I think this because I've been quite consistent about this. I want to win the Coppa. 2 reasons. I'm not going to say no to another piece of silverware. And secondly, if we do end up in 6th place, I think the Coppa will guarantee us Europa. So that's a little bit of a backstop there.
Okay, right. That is a factoid that I did not know, and doesn't make me feel any different about it, hasn't he? So, I believe that
John,
in the
can you
Coppa.
imagine the merch coming out of a Copa win?
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know
There'll
how
be another.
I'll
There'll
be
be
down
another
for the
T-shirt.
pre-order.
There'll be another T-shirt, won't there? So I believe in the Coppa, the next game is us against Inter, isn't it, Husney?
Yeah. And yeah, we're undefeated against Inter. If you can believe it, we're actually undefeated against Inter this season.
We're undefeated in 3 games against Inter. But I'm just going to give you a warning. I think Milan is not far away from getting a massive pounding from someone. I hope this isn't the game because it's really not the opponent where I want to see that happen. But I think this Milan squad is prepared and getting itself in a state to be losing by 5+ more goals against someone. That's my opinion. I don't know how much more humiliation ownership wants. I don't know how much more humiliation the fan base wants to take. I don't
John,
care about the Coppa d'Italia. That's my opinion. Yeah, go on.
I can agree with you that we're gonna get smashed 5-0 or by a bigger margin, but not by a big club, but actually by a small club. This is the only difference that I foresee.
Okay, well, as I said, I hope it doesn't come against Inter because that would make it a little bit more painful. But, as I said, I'm a bit numb. Shane says, Hasney, the forks in my kitchen drawer are silverware. Doesn't mean they're worth it, though.
Shane, they're worth it to me. If you don't want your forks, I'll make an offer for them.
Yeah. Kim says that he thinks that the game where we get pounded is Napoli. Yeah. Let's have that discussion. We'll see it. We'll see it. It's going to happen. My prediction is that it will happen, and I just hope it's not against Inter because I feel like they are due one against us. Right. So now we go to another big Italian podcaster, Enrico Silvestrin, who is a bit more militant, but his thumbnails have been glorious over the last few weeks. So this one is Parlare di Milan è diventato difficilissimo. Talking about Milan has become incredibly difficult. Personally, my opinion, I think this goes back to the point where Nico's taking a break. I think talking about Milan from a football perspective and trying to analyze it from a football perspective, if that is what you want to do, is becoming incredibly difficult because you see the same mistakes being made all the time. You see very little clear patterns. You see bad subs being made all the time. And so you're kind of wondering what has changed between Conceição and Fonseca. I think the first few weeks it was, oh, look, they're coming back from losing positions and they're showing some grinta. And now it's fallen by the wayside because Conceição is looking incredibly exhausted. He has come out and said, if necessary, I will leave the club and I will not take a single euro payment. And there's headlines yesterday saying that there's a potential where the club is preparing itself. If Conceição leaves, it'll bring in Tassotti, who, by the way, was brought in as an emergency to try and help. Try and help our previous manager at the Futuro project, who has been fired, hasn't he? And for whom we have brought in another player who was the Pescara coach. Can you guys remind me who is Oddo, isn't it? It's Massimo Oddo, who has been brought in for the Futuro project to try and rescue them after they had another failure. So it's all like a one joke after another, after another, after another. And
John, at this point, I would be surprised if they just put the football manager AI to run the club. It might actually do better than some of the managers they have lined up. And another thing that wouldn't be surprise me if they actually appoint one manager for both Futuro and our first team. Like, why not save costs and just put it all on the same guy? You can manage a big pool, team A, team B. Yeah, all that can be considered.
Yeah, and the other news that this week really made people feel pissed off is that there's information that Moncada and Kirovski have both applied to be on the course to become sporting directors. And the clear fear in the Italian fan base is that this means that Moncada has got aspirations to become sporting director at Milan. I just can't anymore. You can't make this up.
I thought he already was. That's the thing.
No, he's a technical director, hasn't he? He took on Maldini's position. Just being clear about this. So Maldini vacated that position when he was fired, and the club appointed Moncada to be the technical director. Yeah. So now they're talking about Moncada training to become a sporting director. Kirovsky, who has led the biggest disaster in our youth system in probably years, he is also training to become a sporting director, because now it's realized that, you know, maybe it's necessary. But my argument is what's necessary is for both of them to go. Okay, another fantastic thumbnail from Silvestrin, lost. Yeah, that. By the way, if anybody hasn't watched it, Shane, I hate you for telling me to watch this series. It was one of the biggest waste of time. I wish you have to give me my life back for the hours I wasted thinking that it was going to end somewhere, and then realized that the plot line for Lost was probably written by someone on drugs and taking more and more stronger psychedelic drugs every day, writing the scripts. So it's, oh my God, it's bad. Oh my God. Let's just not get sidetracked. Then this one, Weekend con il Morto, Weekend with the Dead. Yeah. Ibriaco, this is a play on words. The Italian word for drunk is ubriaco. There you go. Absolutely. I don't know what Ibrahimovic is doing. Then we move to another one, Rinaldo Morelli. So Rinaldo Morelli does the live, so the commentary that I listen to, Husney. So most of the time now I have just completely stopped paying to watch Milan games, because just like Kim, I just don't think they deserve any of my money in any way whatsoever. So here the headline is Miracolo cercarsi, which means we're looking for miracles, and he's put a picture of Conceição praying. And it says at the bottom, Conceição is playing for everything on the against Bologna and Lazio. Literally, everything. And the Bologna game is now gone by the wayside. So Shane says, watch Twin Peaks on psychedelics, John. So Shane, we've had this discussion in the WhatsApp group. I don't know what your head does. We shouldn't be having this conversation here, but Shane has got an incredible mind. He's very, very quick, but also I honestly think his brain is that of a Shiba Inu. He just follows objects as they run past him, especially if they have boobs. All right, next comment from Ronaldo. Spinge forte. Cardinale spinge. Milan in Bante era. And here is one of the first mentions in the Italian media from a main channel. Hard push. Cardinale's pushing. Milan is now in the Bante era. It is. It wasn't just Bante era management. Now we're turning a talented group of players, by not having a correct utilization of those players, whether it's formation, whether it's substitution, whether it's player integration. It's become Bante era, because if you keep deploying players this way, you're going to do that. And again, back to my original point, you keep using homegrown players as nothing more than filler. This is going to lead to Bante era, because you're limiting yourself to having to start Musa. You're limiting yourself to having to start Joao Felix. But by doing that, you're basically limiting yourself to the same 15, 16 players. And Hasni, we discussed this earlier, Reindeer has been so suppressed by the arrival of Felix because he's unable to run into the space that he wants. And he is not a defensive midfielder, and yet he's being used in the double pivot that way. Really, really terrible. And another one from Ronaldo, game over. Hanno distrutto il mio Milan, soli con la vostra vergogna. So he says, you've destroyed my Milan you're such a shameful team of players, a team of management. Now, Kim, I'm going to give the stage to you, and in a minute we're going to open up the line so you can join us. But I just wanted to read this from Kim. So he texted me this yesterday. the best thing I have done was stop watching the games and cancelling my subscriptions. Why should I have to pay to watch this bullshit? If ownership and management don't give a shit, then so why should I? Now, it's one thing, I appreciate it. I'm in Europe. I'm in a very similar time zone actually to Italy. It's only about 1 hour difference. So all the games are quite easy for me to capture. But for people like yourself, Husty, for people who are in Australia, in Asia, some parts of also North America, where the East Coast, West Coast, it's not so easy for them. And it's not fair uh, that the club is doing this. Your commitment to be watching the club is actually far greater than my commitment is, because I don't have to get in at horrendous times of the day. I don't have to. I don't have a job where I have to be up at 5 in the morning anyway. Kim has a job where he has to get up really early, so he tries to combine that with his love of Milan, and so he tries to watch Milan. But this is completely fair. Why should you put your hard-earned money towards something where no one at that club actually cares about what you think? They don't care about Milan's success. They don't care about the history. They don't care about anything. They're just there to say. In fact, my opinion is that the current ownership want to get rid of traditionalist fans like us. They want to replace us with the Instagram generation, people that will turn up to watch Milan. And this was said yesterday in an Italian podcast too, Husney. People that will turn up with their mobile phones and just take a picture of themselves with seats at the back or the San Siro at the back and saying, yeah, I'm here. They'll turn up once and then pay for a special deal experience and then piss off and then be replaced by the next person. And maybe people that at halftime they want a show, so they want people to be doing dancing or whatever, a concert at halftime, and saying, even though Milan is losing 5-0, yeah, this is fantastic, my experience is great, and then go to the club shop and buy themselves a £1,000 book with pictures of Milan to say they've been there and done it. That's what I think current ownership wants. It doesn't want people like us who probably want to start a maybe some of us have been supporting the club for multiple generations even. But someone that would instill that Milanismo into their kids. Current ownership doesn't want any of it. Just wanted to hear what you thought about that, Hasni, because you're one of those fans that has to make a far greater sacrifice for the club than I do.
Yeah, it's well, you get used to it after a while, and not only myself in Malaysia, I know there's a big following in Indonesia, and I'm also in the WhatsApp group. So they have about 1,000 members in that WhatsApp group alone for the Indonesian Milanisti. Big respect to them, Kim and everyone else in this part of the world. So we want it to mean something, yeah. And I don't think I'm wrong when I say that if we played well, but we were unfortunate, or we lost by that odd goal or by that last minute slip, we wouldn't be as bitter. But the way that we lose these games, it's utterly disappointing. You can see it happening a mile away. When we are so exposed, we look weak all the time. It's just more than the loss; it's how we lose as well. So that's something that really takes it back home. And you're right, John. The focus of the club very much is to generate as much revenue as they can, not only in terms of how they package the product now, but look at the marketing campaign that's going on. For example, us and New York Yankees. I don't see the synergy, to be honest. I mean, is there something that we're borrowing from the Yankees that we didn't have already? I don't think anything. They just needed to use the logo of the brand, sell a streetwear line, and that's pretty much about it. I just don't see anything sporting wise that can at least give me some positivity.
Yeah, and there's points here from Kashavito, I think is also down under. He said game is on at 4 a.m. in Australia for himself and Kim. It's just, I only experienced this once when I was at a business trip in Thailand, and Milan was playing in the Champions League. This is when we actually had a really good squad, and I was getting up at 2 a.m. and I'm thinking,
But you have to admit, it was worth it. 2 a.m. to watch that team. more than
I
worth
think
it. Yeah.
I think it might have been the game where like a 3-0 lead was overturned against a Spanish club, if I remember. There was a Deportivo La Coruña or something like that. It was a very painful. I had meetings during the day. I was very pissed off, but at least it was a very exciting game. But I did kind of wake up and think my head was ringing, and I was thinking, why would you do this to yourself? And thought, well, you've got no choice, have you?
You know the trick is, John,
Tell me.
don't sleep.
Oh yeah, no,
That's how I
oh,
managed to soldier on. Just don't
really? Is that
sleep.
is that what you do? You don't sleep?
Yeah. I'm
Oh,
just not sleeping. Yeah.
oh, that's brutal, mate.
Health wise, it's even worse, but I
Right,
just
isn't
don't like
it?
the idea of sleeping for just a short number of hours.
Yeah, yeah, and you can't really like. I think I was jet lagged because I just landed in Bangkok, and so I was like so jet lagged because of the time difference. So I couldn't really. I thought Milan's playing. I got to wake up. So Kachavit says never missed a game, even though I know I'll be disappointed. So your take on this, Kachavit, is one that many fans will say. I know one of our guys, Let's Talk Milan, Carmelo will say the same thing. He says, look, I absolutely hate this ownership. I hate this management, but I just can't tear myself away from Milan. I can't avoid watching them. Something which is probably like an addiction to AC Milan. AC Milan is a drug. Unfortunately, I'm finding from the Real Madrid game, I felt numb. Even though we won that game, I felt numb. These losses make me feel numb. What brings my anger on is actually seeing the comments from management that are pretending to be doing something about the problem, pretending to be ambitious, pretending that they are here to do anything other than serve themselves. I think the answer is very clear. The club has to be sold because there's no way out of this. We can't have a situation where Moncada stays. They can't have a situation where Forlani stays or Ibrahimovic stays. Even if we win the Coppa d'Italia, I cannot believe that they stay. But the only way that, to be honest, the only way that we can have ownership listen is if Cardinale, sitting in his offices in New York, turns on the TV and sees that the stadium is empty. Because that will make him think, oh, what's happening to my match day revenues?
John, do you think he even turns on TV to watch the club? No. He's gonna ask
Okay.
one of his yes men what's happening like on a monthly basis, and that yes man, trying to protect his job, is gonna say all great things about the club, and nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah. Gachavita's like me. He's been a fan since the 80s. He will always watch, but even though it kills him. So, Kachavit, I've made that step. Like Kim, I've actually made that step. I've gone, no, I'm not watching. I'm not watching. I listen to the game live with Ronaldo. Sometimes Serie A in the UK, and I don't know about other time zone, does something incredible, and they release like a really long review of the game. So there'll be like 20-minute highlight programs.
Yeah, extend the
For
highlights. Yeah,
yeah, that's
they sometimes
really
do that. Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
Yeah, I really like that because then you really get a good flavor of the match. So I'm glad they're doing that, but I won't watch it live. I used to every now and then dip in and out and watch like one of the big games and stuff, but I've lost faith. I've if I'm honest, I'm even looking at. I think Conceição's desperate. His decisions are very poor at the moment, and I'm with you guys. In the summer, maybe if he had a full preseason, he might have done something, but not like this. Not like this. I actually don't think he's making any of the decisions. I don't believe he's choosing the players either. I think he's clearly being told, look, put this player and this player. We've paid X amount for this player. Gabia's homegrown. Don't bother with him. He's cheap. But we want the other guys in the shop window. Chow and Pavlovic. Pavlovic, how long was it going to be before he was going to make a really stupid mistake which was going to lead to a goal? It was never going to be that long. But a lot of people are like, oh, look, he's got Grinta. Yeah, he seemed to want it more than others. He seemed to say, I want to be on this pitch, so I'm going to run around a bit more. But why have you got a centre back in the last minute running in for a header. What's going on here? It's dead. And Kacevic says Forza Milanismo. Yeah, I think the only place where Milanismo exists right now is in you guys. It's in the fan base. It's not in the club. And, when you've got Italian YouTubers who have been following the club, some of them before the 80s, and they are openly saying this isn't Milan, then you know where Milanismo has gone. Yeah, it doesn't exist anymore. So your question should really be, why am I watching this club? And I think people have to really sit down and think about it. So, Hasni league table, top four. You know what's concerning about this is that our gap to Juve is the same as their gap to first place. Oh, Juve are playing horrendous football. They have gone out of the Italian Cup just as we did. They went out to Empoli. Should you be laughing at Juve? No. But
You know something, John?
yeah,
There was a point in this season where there were comparisons between us and Juve, and many people, I'm not going to mention names, of course, but also from Milan channels, were saying that Mota is a mistake. So if you look at this and you look
Yeah.
at out where we are in the league, if they're a mistake, what are we?
yeah, we're a big mistake. We're a very big mistake. We shouldn't. This project should never have been born. It should have been terminated pre-birth. That's what this project should have happened. Cardinale should never have been allowed to take over the club. Now, Kashevitz says Cardinale needs to sell Milan. He's not worthy of a club. I mean, we completely agree with that, mate. I don't know who I was talking to about this. It might have been Kim, and I said, if you literally put me, Hasni, and Shane in charge of Milan, name us whatever you want. I could be, let's make Hasni club president, right? He takes over from Scaroni. Shane becomes sporting director. I become technical director. We would do a better job than the current people there. And I guarantee you we would, because we know the history of the club. We love the club, and we would do anything to help the club. Yeah. And that's the difference. But the thing is, we would say, actually, no, we don't want to be the guys in place. But if you're giving us the power, we're bringing Maldini back. Yeah. And we would fix this, because we all know that that is the fix that the club requires. Okay. We have to go to the next page, Husney, which is where we actually are.
This is the mid-table, right?
Mid-table.
Yeah.
And at this point, guys, I wanted to play that video of Cardinale from about 3 years ago, an investor conference, where he said the sweet spot of a club that Redbird buys will be between 6th and 8th place. You've achieved your sweet spot. Very sweet spot. He'll never buy a big club. Well, he's converted us into a small club. Milan 2025 is a small club. It only has 15 actual players to select from. Everyone else is filler. That is Milan. But I just wanted to say, look, we've now caught up in match days. We've played the game that was, so many fans said there's 3 points guaranteed. Nope. We've lost it. So now Bologna are 3 points clear of us. We're on 41 points. We are 8 points away from 4th place. Let's be honest. Serie A is going to get only 4 places in the Champions League. So we're 8 points away from that. But the crucial thing about it is that we have also Lazio, Fiorentina, and Bologna between us and 4th place. And Roma are only 1 point behind us. Ranieri has turned them around. He is trying to play actual football. He's given them an identity. They are looking serious about who they're bringing up next season as a coach once Ranieri retires. He really, they already are talking seriously about potentially Conte coming in. And I just want to say, Udinese are only 5 points behind us. Keep your eyes open, guys. We've got a clash with Lazio. If that does not go well for us, we are actually going to be potentially 9th, and Udinese will be sniffing our buttholes. So the Lazio game tomorrow, 7:45 my time zone. What's your opinion on that, Husney? If we want to talk, if we want to talk about that game a little bit, what would you like to see? Let's say that, Husney. Who would you like to see as the starting four up
Uh,
top?
I wouldn't mind if we maintain the previous starting four, but I don't want to see Musa on the pitch starting. I did hear that we have a number of players return from injury. Ruben Loftus-Cheek might be back. I did hear that. I don't think he's going to be fit to start, but can we please have someone else in that double pivot? I don't think Musa is cutting it for us. Gabia needs to be there. Mike, I don't know if we really do need Mike in the sense that he needs a bit of a time off. I also wouldn't mind if Sportiello started. So to me, those are the big changes. I would ideally would like to see someone other than Theo, but probably not going to happen because he like we spoke about last week, he has no competition. Other than that, still praying for the best. But I don't know if I'm jinxing it when I say that. Maybe we might get 3 points. We might get 3 points because
Yeah,
this is the sort of game we tend to win because we will end up losing against all the lower ranked teams.
yeah,
This is Milan.
yeah. So this is my feeling: is that if we get the 3 points, it doesn't mean anything. It's meaningless. It's actually a meaningless 3 points. If we get the 3 points, it will be so what? Because we'll just drop them somewhere else. It's more for Lazio to be in that conversation for top four. They have to beat us. We're a very beatable team. We'll know it. So, what I would like to see, let's say this: if it was possible, I think we'd have to consider Magnan might need a rest. If it was possible, I would take Chow and Pavlovic out of the centre back positions, and I'll put Gabia and Tomori there. If it was possible, I would like Theo not to play. Maybe Alex Jimenez there, but unfortunately, the right wing position is a problem. And Bartesaghi is a liability. He goes and gets himself red cards from everywhere. Doesn't matter if it's Futuro or whether it's the senior team. That guy has got a problem. 1 meter 93 of red cards. That's what he is. And as Shane joked, that's the best way he's learning about how to be the next Theo. I would like, I think Leao probably starts, but Sotil should be considered. If anything is off with Leao, Sotil should come on immediately. I also don't want to see Musa. I would like, at least if you got to play Musa, honestly, if you have to play Musa, then start him, really force him to stay next to Fofana. Don't let him run around on the right wing and go into the Pulisic position. I don't want to see Felix start, Husney. I just think leave him on the bench for when players are tired and see what he does as a sub. I would like Pulisic to play. I would like Reindeer to actually be able to run into that space. So take Felix out to give Reindeer that position. If Ruben Loftus-Cheek is fit, and I'm not sure about that at all, maybe that is the sub for Musa, but that's a terrible choice. Ruben Loftus-Cheek or Musa, two absolutely awful players. I really dislike them both. And up top, of course, Santi. Santi he just keeps performing, and I am so worried that the apathy that is going around the club will eventually infect him because it is a disease. We need Santi to keep that Feyenoord spirit, that kind of feeling that he wants to perform and prove himself, because no one else on that pitch, except for maybe Pavlovic a little bit, is wanting to do that right now. So that's how I would see it. I would make several changes to that squad. There's just too much apathy floating about. And if I could, I probably would suspend Conceição if I could and put him on the stands, because his attitude is worrying me. It's really worrying me. I think the players are not responding to him at all. And I think some of what's going on, it's they're lashing back against him. And because they don't give a shit about the club, they're not putting the badge above their personal feelings. I think the this week on the news, Tonali was on there talking about how he had a choice of going to Inter or Milan, and he had a Gattuso mug which broke and his mum glued together. So basically, he was drinking glue. Never drink glue, guys.
I never thought about it that way.
I did.
Is that
I
what
think about
caused him to develop a gambling problem?
I thought about it that way. That glue went to his brain, and I thought, oh, maybe I need to put a bet on some tennis. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, so should we do it, Hasni, and open up the lines? We can go back. We can stop the share. You can open up the lines. If anybody wants to call in, you're absolutely welcome to join us. This is, just as much as it's our podcast to vent, it's your podcast too. That's why we started this, because we think the fan base need a voice, and we're never going to ask anything of you guys. So just come along.
All right, I think I've pinned it.
I see it. I see it there
Yeah.
on the restream. So let's see if anyone joins in. Shane, why don't you join us? We need to see a drunk Shane. We need to see. I promise I won't make any loud noises much. Maybe, Hasni, take some cutlery out of your drawers and drop them on the floor if Shane comes by.
Yeah, anyone wants to join us? If you're on our other platforms, you have a.
Oh God, what is this?
Oh, we must be doing something right. If we have.
Yeah, it's happened again. It's happened again. Something went wrong. Try reloading the page. Have we been hacked, hasn't he?
Is it?
I don't know, mate.
Oh, no. I see him. Kim. Hi, Kim. Are you there?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Can you hear me?
Hi, Kim.
Yes,
Yeah, we
Kim.
can hear you.
Oh, how's it going? Oh my God, I don't know where to start.
First thing, Kim, you need an avatar. Get yourself a nice Italian kangaroo.
No,
Right.
I'll have to try and do one.
Yeah. You need to try and do one, mate, for next time. It'll be quite cool. I'll do one for you if you want. I could quite easily do that. So, Kim,
Yes.
mate, we've spoken for this week. We actually were on a call, which is probably nearly an hour. So, vent, mate. Come on, this is your space. This is your time. So, let's hear it, man.
Look, you read my comments, the message I sent you. Yeah, I really did cancel my subscriptions. I mean, honestly, what is this shit? Like, we're oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, like, honestly, the team's not playing with grinta, no passion. They're playing like they don't give a shit. And I had to wake up, watch that, and literally the management ownership, always the same stupid comments that they make, literally copy and paste. They don't give a shit. So I said to myself, I'll just cancel my subscriptions. I'm not going to bother waking up, watching the games. If they don't care, then why should I care? So that's what I've decided to do. And I didn't even know that the Bologna game was on. When I woke up, I saw all these messages from different group chats. And I was like, oh shit, I didn't even know that game was on. So I did well for that. And even the Torino game too, I didn't even bother.
Yeah. So maybe the question then, Kim, is give us your opinion on what's going on within management at the moment. They talk about replacement of Conceição. Do you think anything will actually change anything? Is it, do you think it's just throwing another body?
Look, anything can happen at this club. So, yeah, anything unexpected can happen. Yeah, I'm not surprised anymore, really.
Yeah. Hasni, do you actually think at any point the stadium will happen? Because that was on the news this week, because Mayor Salah basically is confirming everything that Inter and Milan are they're only going to go ahead if they're together. So we're going to help them. But I genuinely don't think we're still going to go ahead with it.
Oh, you don't think? I thought it's pretty much a done deal
No.
because
I don't believe it. I still don't believe it.
No, I don't think you.
I did think that the stadium, and if we had gone our own way, would be the only positive you can take away from this entire mess. But it looks like we're back to square one. So then I'm wondering is that what are we going to do with all the other money that we spent on San Donato and because they did spend a bit of money acquiring that company or that land.
It's like 40 million, yeah.
Yeah, and that's enough for a decent player, right? So they decided to do that instead of maybe getting a decent defender in.
I guess you can still develop the place for like other things that are like properties, and so you still make your money back.
Ibra theme park is probably what's going to end up happening.
Mate, it's gonna need one. The guy is becoming more of a clown show every day.
I don't know. Maybe Milanello, they could move it there.
Again, have you seen the San Donato station? Have you seen the state of it?
Right, yeah.
It's awful, mate. So what are they going to build a new station just for Milanello? I doubt it very much.
Futuro home stadium.
Yeah. So Massimo Oddo coming in to take over the Futuro is the talk. Bonera was fired. Do you really think that makes any difference? No. Honestly, Oddo was the Pescara manager, wasn't he? And they beat us. So what is it you said the other day, Hasniz? Like when we were playing Feyenoord and that player was taking the piss out of Walker, you said, oh, we'll be signing him next. It's all these things are people that prove themselves against us. They'll just get signed. They'll do nothing.
Yeah, we'll sign them. Then we'll treat them as such shit. Maybe it's our way of getting revenge to essentially destroy them, like what happened to Hauge, right? Hauge destroyed us in Europa League. Well, he nearly destroyed. I think we won that game. But then when we signed him, we just essentially just shut on him.
Yeah, we did. We shit on anyone. I don't know. Genuinely, I don't know. What is the point of talking about Conceição right now? What is the point of talking about Moncada becoming a sporting director? Kim, do you reckon Moncada becoming sporting director is a move to try and make him Milan sporting director?
Nope. No fucking way.
No,
That's not
you
going
don't
to
want
change
it.
anything. No,
exactly.
no.
Like a bit of training to become sporting director will change
No,
nothing.
not even. What's he done as well? He hasn't really talked much, either.
No. When
what makes you think he's gonna become sporting director if he doesn't even talk much?
We've got a great question from Shane, which is Kim, what will it take for you to reconnect with the club? I'm asking for myself the same question. I don't know the answer. That's a great question, Shane. Even though you're half drunk.
That is a good question. Well, Shane, to be honest, man, I reckon it's once the ownership management all piss off. That's probably when. And I don't know how long that's going to be, but yeah, that's how I'm feeling at the moment. When all these incompetent pieces of shit fuck off, that's when I'll probably reconnect. Yeah. So I'm done. If they don't, as I said, they don't give a shit about the club, so why should I care? I got to wake up early in the morning, watch this bullshit that's happening on the pitch. They're not even putting anything in, so.
Yeah. What do you think, Kim?
Shit.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Hasni. You go.
Yeah, I just have a question for both of you. Yeah? So Conceição was brought in midway. I don't recall a season where we've had 3 managers. So if you ask me, we will probably stick with Conceição until the end. But after him, and if we had to choose another manager, who would you actually pick? Because I'll give you my pick, because it's absolutely annoying at this point that we have such a crap defense. I wouldn't mind Allegri coming back to fix our defense.
This is actually what Shane was calling for because of that same issue. So, did Shane have his crystal balls out? at the time. Could he see that this was going to happen? I don't know. Yeah, Kim, you answer first. You go first.
Oh, me? Okay. Honestly, I probably think Sardi and the dream one. This is a huge ask, but even if it happens, it's probably not going to change anything. Ancelotti,
Okay. All right.
that's. But I think
Okay.
realistically, probably Sardi.
Right. And I'll give you my answer. It doesn't matter. That's my answer. It really doesn't matter. It's
Yeah, even
really,
that.
it's really, really clear. It's clear, guys. Conceição was wanted in the summer. We were thinking he's such a forceful and strong manager that he will not take shit from ownership, management about who to pick, how to pick them. You ask me, I don't think that formation is his choice. I don't think those lineups are his choice. I think these are some kind of instructions that he's being given, and he's just, he's gonna give up soon enough. So Hasni, you can bring in Allegri. Maybe you'll stop conceding because he will try and field players that he's allowed to play, but he'll try and field all of them inside the goal. But I don't know if anything changes. Ancelotti, wonderful, but Ancelotti will only be wonderful if these guys are not here, and that's the biggest problem with this club. This club at the moment is dead. And I've said it. I made a short video, and then Shane made one as well about how I feel about Milanismo being dead in this club. It is only alive in us. We're the only thing that knows what Milan should be. No one at the club right now knows what Milan should be. That's frightening. It's frightening. Scaroni, Furlani, Ibrahimovic, Moncada, they know nothing about what this club should be. Ibrahimovic is not a Milan legend. Never considered him one. I never will again. I think he has tarnished anything that he's ever done for our club in my book, and he needs to be basically banned from entering the stadium, in my opinion. I would like the most realistic thing that can happen right now is that the Curva Sud stop turning up. All the season ticket holders stop turning up. I know that means a financial outlay, but why are you turning up? Why are you boarding those metro? Why are you going to the San Siro? Why are you entering those gates? To watch what? To watch yourself being embarrassed every single day, every single match? To watch a nonsensical football being played? There's no reason right now to be going to watch Milan. And as Kim said, there's no reason for you guys in your time zones to be tuning in other than what you feel inside for this club. That's the only thing that's keeping you guys going. Some of us still going is you feel so attached to this club. You love this club so much. That is why you're watching it. But
And John,
for
can I
me,
add something?
yeah,
Sorry.
absolutely.
When you mentioned Curva Sud, another thing, where the fuck have they been all season? Only now they're talking as well?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
why? Why? Why now? It's too late.
It's always been very slow.
It's too late.
It's like decisions are made by committee.
And
So
I'm not sure if it's true that they're going to get no fans the next game. I hope that's the case.
I mean, it has to, the stadium, as I said, if the objective is to remove all traditionalists, then this ownership is doing a fantastic job of it. Maybe the point is let's humiliate these guys as much as we can until they give up. And then we'll have those Insta generation people turning up and just going, I'm at this San Siro, the famous Milan stadium. I'm trying to do a stupid accent, but I can't. I'm eating hot dogs, that kind of shit. I'm sorry, I'm so bad with my accents. The greatest hot dogs, that kind of thing. That's what I think this club wants, this ownership wants. They want people like that that will
Mm.
be like, hey, match day ticket is €70 to get in, but you can have an experienced match day ticket with a special seat and a meal included for €500. Pay for that,
You
and
mean
then we'll.
dollars?
Yeah, well, exactly, right? Dollars. That's what I believe current ownership wants. They want all of that removed. So even if they were to, Hasni, if they were to build a stadium, I reckon it would all be executive seats as well. I think that's what they would ensure in the design, because they would be, and the Inter would be like the only ones fighting for normal seats. Yeah, for the Curva Nord. That's what they would do. Yeah. And Kim, to your point about the Curva Sud, I mean, what's
Yeah.
the next protest? You're going to wear your underpants on your head?
Oh
Is that
God.
is that the, what's it? Banners upside down? Who cares? Yeah,
Cares.
just stand outside the stadium. Don't enter. Have those pictures in the media. Don't enter the stadium. No cheering, no nothing. Apparently, against the Bologna game, the Curva just fell silent. There was not a sound from them at the end. That is the way to protest. Is we saying things like banners upside down. It's like it's so thick. It's unbelievable. It hurts my head how stupid that is.
Like
I
walking
mean,
backwards into the stadium, right?
let's have banners upside down, walking back into the stadium. Let's talk backwards as well. I don't know. Let's sing the songs backwards. I don't know what else we want to do. It it is, Max and Gino are doing. I'm having to do. They're having to do emergency pods every single game because it's so bad. The atmosphere is so bad, and I don't think anybody is under any illusion that any managerial changes will improve things. So, Asni, I love your question because you want to be hopeful and say, let's bring in Allegri, he'll fix things. Conceição was supposed to be that brutal individual that would say, this is a formation, these are the players, I want these players. Even the buys, Santi is a good player, you can tell. But I'm telling you, man, apathy in this club is going to infect him. Because Theo was a fantastic player, Leao, a fantastic player. We're now openly talking about chucking them in the bin in the summer for anything because we're going to need revenues, right? It's because also they have nothing to make them feel special anymore. You know, that picture of Tomori shaking hands with Ibrahimovic with a big smile on his face. He was like, oh my God. Not Ibrahimovic, shaking hands with Maldini. Big smile on his face and saying, there's a legend here. This club is run by a legend. That's gone. It's dead. So the only thing that fixes anything in this club, and I don't know how many years it is, I'm sorry to say this to everyone, is Cardinale leaving. Nothing else gets fixed otherwise. You can fire Furlani. My opinion is you can fire Furlani, Moncada, Ibrahimovic, but it won't fix a thing unless you bring Maldini back. Now, anyone argue against me on that?
Yeah, fully agree with you, John. But I just want to add something, and we can all agree that Maldini didn't do it himself. So one of the things that, especially for me, that I think I overlook, Masara probably did his part. So I wouldn't just say Maldini. So Maldini is a big pull factor, but there needs to be that guy who understands the business side of things, and I think Masara probably had that nailed
Well, I
down.
think Massara was sporting director,
Yeah,
hasn't he?
Maybe you can add Gazidis as well.
Yeah,
bring back the whole team.
bring back the whole
Look,
team.
even though Gazidis and Maldini didn't get along, they just both stuck to their jobs and no one interfered with them. That was how it pretty much worked.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's why a lot of people are saying Elliot were not that bad because they just let these guys get along. I'd say Elliot, I've lost again a lot of my backing because they sold to Jerry. and allow this shit to happen, which is, 125th anniversary. Gordon Singer was standing there taking selfies. It's exactly what this bloody ownership wants. People that turn up and take pictures and selfies like that in the stadium and say, "I've done it. I've come to Milan. I've done the trip." And Kacevic says the Curva are saying that they're only there for the players. I don't care. They shouldn't be doing that. Those players don't deserve those players are mercenaries and don't deserve anything. Most of them. As I said, Hasni, just like last thing before we hang up, name me the players you'd rescue out of the entire squad right now.
Yeah, like we spoke about Pulisic. I would throw in Pavlovic. I think I like that fighting spirit. Gabia deserves a place to stay.
Look at that. You see?
Yeah.
Look at that.
Jimenez, fine enough. Jimenez maybe was new. There's not enough dirt on this guy to throw him out there.
Yeah. And Kim, what about you?
Yeah, I'd say the same as well.
So you've come up with a handful. Just think about that.
Even Kamada maybe for the future.
Yeah. I would add Camarda to your list. Exactly. But that's it. Yeah? And that's where we are.
Yeah.
That's where we are today. So, what a way to finish this pod. The realization that there's literally 5 players you'd save because they've shown us something. Everyone else you'd throw out without any hesitation. But most of all, throw out everyone else. There's no football. There's no point in talking about football. Look, we've hardly spoken about football, hasn't he, today? Yeah? There's no point because there's nothing being shown to us on the pitch. But my call now is the only people that can empty that stadium are those season ticket holders. Please don't turn up. Please show these people that pain. Yeah? If there's going to be in a highlights show, because I said I'm not paying to watch this game. Kim's not paying to watch the game. Yeah? In the highlights reel, if there's an empty stadium, if there's an empty curva, then we're starting to get somewhere. Because that's the only way that these people will listen. They won't listen to anything else. I genuinely don't think they listen to anything else. And Hasni,
That's our only hope.
please stop buying kits for everyone in Malaysia.
It's so limited anyway. It's like after I place my order, it's sold out. I'm like, is it only for me or?
They had one.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for that, John, and thanks to Kim for joining us on our live. So we'll continue to do this. The last 15 minutes.
Thanks,
we'll
guys.
open it up. And we always
Thank
look forward,
you.
Kim. Join us anytime. And to those, Kasharid, who else? Shane.
Shane.
Nico was in there too.
I think Nico's quickly. I don't know how at that time in the morning.
Yeah.
I think Nico joined in for a sec.
Yeah, Ray,
Yeah.
a lot of comments from Ray. Thank you, Ray, for joining us. And yeah, whoever else is catching us after we've recorded, either on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or even on YouTube. We appreciate you catching us. And again, offers are always out there. If you want to join our WhatsApp group, do drop us a DM on any one of our socials. And till then, Forza Milan. And thanks again, everyone.
I'm going to say one thing, Hasni.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say Forza Milan. I'm going to say Forza Milanismo to the
Sorry,
fans.
Forza Starfish.
Yes.
There you go. There you go. Ciao tutti.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Ciao. Thanks, guys.
Welcome. Thanks, Steve.
Che comunque il calcio è imprevedibile e le cose non sono mai scontate, quindi è anche la bellezza, no, di questo sport.
Io rappresentavo per questa squadra, era quello che non mollava mai, quello che doveva fare stare sempre su il morale, ma io mi ci trovavo bene perché sono sempre stato uno che mi piaceva dare fuoco ai miei compagni, caricarli prima delle partite.
Il mio sogno di Saverato è uno dei sogni dei bambini, di tanti bambini.
Gol è un qualcosa per la gente che riusciamo a fare diventare matti, riusciamo a fare diventare felici e contenti.
Con questa maglia devo veramente fare una performance diversa perché sto rappresentando